Hello everyone. Today I'm talking about managing your costs inside Microsoft Azure, and specifically when using Microsoft Syntex, because Microsoft Syntex now is a pay-as-you-go kind of service, meaning whenever it processes a document and it charges you per page. When it tags an image, it's going to charge you for that. It is something that if you don't keep an eye on, you might be surprised by how much you're paying for it. So let's take a look at how you can create a budget so that you don't exceed or you don't go over how much money you want to spend for using Microsoft Syntex. The way you set up billing for Microsoft Syntex is in the Admin Center. You go to Setup, and you go to Use Content AI with Microsoft Syntex, and then you click up Set Up Billing. Once you click that, you will see the screen on how you set it up. You basically learn about setting it up and about the resource group that you need to set. And that's going to be important. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Then you set up billing, and you select the Azure subscription that you want to choose to use. And then once you do that, you select the resource group and the region, and you go through the setup. Well, that's reflected in, let's go over into Azure and look at the resource group. So this is the resource group that I want to use for Microsoft Syntex. I'm calling it My Data. So then when you go here, you can scroll down and click on Budgets under Cost Management. When you do that, you can click Add, and we can start creating this budget. And so that I can keep track of my costs. I'm going to give it a fancy name called My Data Budget. Now, that's not fancy. It's the resource group is called My Data, so that's not fancy at all, is it? So this resource group is, let me take a step back, is the container that we put resources in. And you can have multiples of those, and you probably saw I had multiple in my listing of resource groups before. And I suggest creating a resource group just for Syntex. And that way you can manage these costs for that service and separate from your other types of resources that you may run, virtual machines or your data, SQL data, whatever. You can keep it separate. So I suggest creating a resource group for Syntex. So I'm going to create this budget, and then we have to select things like the reset period. And this is monthly or quarterly or annually, meaning I'm going to give it a budget, say $100. When do I want that $100 to be reset? $100 a month? Or is it $100 per quarter? Or is it $100 annually? Okay. And then I'm going to leave it on monthly. Then you have a creation date. So I'm going to leave that for October of 2023. And then you give it an expiration. I'm going to give it, let's give it a 10-year expiration. I'm setting this up for long term, for longevity. And then I give it a budget number. Now, this has to be a non-zero number. It can't be negative, of course, but it could also be very small. You could do $1 or you could do $100. So let's do $100 for this. I'm going to click Next. Then I want to set up alerts. I want to be alerted for two different types of conditions. Now, it's good because there's the alerts kind. I have actual and forecasted. So if once it's saying, hey, I'm looking at the forecasted usage, maybe you're 10 days into this monthly cycle, and it looks like if you keep using the services within this resource group, this amount of time for the same amount for the remainder of this month, then I'm forecasting it's going to be X amount. So if I get a forecast, hey, that we're going to hit 80% of my budget, I want an email. So 80% of 100 is $80. And then I'm going to select actual and say, if the actual amount gets to 75%, I want a notification. Now, this error is saying you need at least one email address. Well, of course, we're going to come down here and put my email address. I want the email alerts. Now, you can add multiple emails to this. So you can have multiple administrators who are administrators over this subscription and therefore over this resource group to be able to manage what's going on, whether, hey, we need to slow this down, we need to figure out what's going on, whatever, right? So I'm going to leave it at the default languages, and I'm going to say create. Now it's going through creating the budget, and there you'll see my budget. And I can go in and check it out, shows the details of what I have, and I can edit the budget if I want straight away. So I hope this video was helpful, learning how to create a budget on a resource group in Microsoft Azure subscription. Specifically here, we're talking about using Microsoft Syntex and managing that cost. If this video was helpful, will you give a thumbs up? Also, make sure you're following my channel and throw in a comment below. Are you using budgets on resource groups? Do you have another way you're managing costs when using Microsoft Syntex? Let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Till next time.